Tort reform. That's what we're going to talk to you about today, which is sort of the buzzword that you've probably seen in the news recently with Governor Kemp's latest push to try to, what they say, reform crazy lawsuits. I'm Chase Elleby. This is Jared Easter, and we're attorneys here at Williams, Elleby, Howard, and Easter. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about what the governor is pushing, what's in the bill, and why we think it's a bad deal for everyday citizens. So, Jared, let's talk about it briefly. What is it? What is the bill? And why is it bad?
Well, there's a lot in the bill. Essentially, the surface level of what the bill intends to do is greatly curb everyday Georgians' right to a Seventh Amendment jury trial. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of things that the general public isn't going to really understand what they're trying to do, but it really kind of hits across a large plethora of parts of the trial process, claims that you can bring in an attempt to essentially just limit what an injured party can do in the courtroom to try to seek recovery for their injuries.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, right? So basically it's an attack on your Seventh Amendment right to a fair and impartial jury, right? Under the Seventh Amendment, state constitution, federal constitution, you have a right to a jury trial. Insurance companies, to the surprise of no one, obviously want to limit that right because quite honestly, they think juries are dumb and they don't get it right, which couldn't be further from the truth because we see it over and over, time and time again, that juries are smart, juries get it right, and they get it right almost all of the time. And then the times that they don't get it right, guess what? We have the appeals process, and most of the time they get it right as well. So this is basically targeted laws to try to limit what you as a citizen, an injured citizen, can argue or say to a jury in order to benefit the insurance companies. I mean, that's quite honestly what it is. One of the big things that's in this bill that we'll kind of talk about briefly. And again, we're not going to highlight everything. The bill is SB 68, which is kind of the first draft that Governor Kemp has pushed out. One of the things they talk about is anchoring, right? This is like the buzzword they use, anchoring, which is essentially lawyers asking the jury to award a certain amount. They don't want lawyers to go to a jury and say, you sat at a trial, for a whole week, and now we're going to tell you what we want. You can't do that. That's what they want. They want to say you can't do that because they think jurors are so dumb that they're going to listen to lawyers say, give them $1 billion and jurors are going to do it. Now, we've tried a lot of cases and that doesn't happen at all. And quite honestly, I can't think of one time where a jury's actually given exactly what someone's asked for on either side.
I mean, I wish they would.
I know. But the point is the juries are smart, right? And they know that and they almost always get it right. But these insurance companies want to limit what juries can hear because they don't want to basically hear the bad news that, hey, if it's a case that's going to trial, most of the time it's a situation where the insurance companies greatly undervalued it. They're afraid that they're going to get popped, for something more than what their limits are. And so they want to try to keep that down and not let the jury decide kind of what, the evidence shows. And they don't want the lawyers to tell the jury what they should award based on what that evidence shows. So that's kind of what I guess the overarching thing is sort of keep in mind that this bill, its sole purpose really is to limit your constitutional rights in a nutshell. The proponents, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, are the insurance companies. These insurance lobbyists have come into our state and pumped millions and millions of dollars into this one bill as Governor Kemp's sort of last hoorah because he's leaving office. No surprise kind of what his ambitions are after office. No surprise that if you have high ambitions, it's going to cost a lot of money. No surprise that a lot of money comes from these big insurance companies. No surprise that if you scratch my back, I scratch your back. And that's how politics works, right? So I don't know if the insurance industry thinks that Georgia citizens are stupid or what, but that's sort of the angle that they're going out here. So,
and I think our position would be, we just want jury trials. We want our clients, you injured people, to have your day in court and to go and present the evidence and, put a number out there because quite frankly, I don't think people that, even us sometimes, we struggle with what that value is. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy to think that we would have a jury trial where we just put up a bunch of evidence and say, okay,
y'all figure it out.
Y'all figure it out. Go,
right. With no suggestion or recommendation on what they should do. And I feel like defense lawyers should hate that as well because they always want to say, give them nothing. But they wouldn't be able to say, give them nothing, right? So that to me doesn't make any sense. And again, there's other issues in there. Another big thing that they're talking about is negligent security cases. We can go into the weeds of negligent security cases and what they're trying to keep out and what they're trying to do to, again, protect big business at the expense of really the underserved community in our state. But just know that everything that is being pushed is something that they're trying to take away from citizens. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about is this really a problem in search of a solution?
Well, let's start with the perceived problem.
Right.
Insurance rates are too high. We all know it. Everyone knows every year rates are going up. Everything is more expensive when it comes to insurance, whether it's health insurance, car insurance, homeowners insurance, renters insurance. It's expensive. We all get that. Supposedly, this bill is aimed at a very fair, targeted approach to help curb the cost of insurance, which simply is not true.
Right.
There's no one you will find anywhere, including most of the supporters of this tort reform bill, that can tell you that anything in this bill will lower insurance rates for the everyday Georgian. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it won't happen at all. Right, and that's, I mean, and a good, perfect example is what happened in Florida a couple of years ago. DeSantis was leaving office, trying to go run for president. Got a lot of money from insurance lobbyists to push this Florida tort reform bill, very, very similar to what they're trying to do in Georgia now. And guess what? Their premiums actually went up, not down. So the lie that's being fed that this is going to be better for businesses, better for everyday citizens, is just that, a flat out lie, because it's not true.
And that's because we can say that confidently, because anywhere you look, anyone who wants to be honest about insurance rates and premiums will tell you that it's not injury payouts specifically that drive the cost. One of the largest indicators of premium changes is property damage, whether that's just your car getting damaged in a crash or natural disasters. You know, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, everyone just experienced one of the largest natural disasters to ever hit these states. And because of that, rates are going to go up. But even just with car crashes, cars are becoming more expensive. We all know that literally everything is more expensive these days. With nicer, fancier cars with more technology, it costs more to repair those. So, you know, back in the 90s, if your F-150 got hit in the parking lot, it cost $100 to buff out the scratches, and that was done. If Chase's truck gets hit nowadays, there's 10 sensors in the back of it to make sure you don't run over everything that costs $10,000 to replace. So it's not that the greedy plaintiffs' lawyers are just running up bills that are raising rates. It's a plethora of things. It's not that simple. So when you think about the why and why this is happening, it's not really just surface level, easy answer, you know, that this one bill can come in and fix. There's a lot more going on, which begs the question of then why do the insurance companies want it so bad?
Yeah, do we even need it, right? Is it a solution in search of a problem? I think I mixed it up earlier. Because you can go Google insurance company profits and you'll see over however many years, I think last year alone, nationally all insurance companies, a net profit, so not gross, net profit was $91 billion with a B dollars.
Well, that was 2023.
2023.
2024 data is not out yet, but I think it's expected to be even higher. So it's record profits. It's not just profits, it's record profits while premiums continue to increase.
Right. So again, it kind of begs the question of what's, you know, if the record profits are where they are, even for the state, I think the insurance companies are making record profits in the state as well. And Georgia's number one in business.
Correct. Which is also you'll hear people say that businesses are leaving. It's untenable to have a business in Georgia. Right. You know, find me the list of the businesses that have packed up and left.
Well, I'd love to talk to them and find out, you know, why they left, if it was because of tort reform or not having tort reform.
Also, data will show us that generally with states of similar size to us, mainly Southeast states and Texas, North Carolina, that on average there's roughly about 10 major insurance companies that make up the majority of the insurance market. Georgia is right in line with roughly 10 carriers making up the majority of the market here in Georgia. So Georgia is not an outlier. As Chase said, we've been routinely ranked as the number one state to do business. Our insurance rates are relatively the same, despite the fact that statistically you are 2 times more likely to get into a car wreck in Georgia than in most other similarly sized states. So you're 2 times more likely to get into a wreck, but yet our insurance payouts, claims, everything is still roughly close to in line with what similar sized states are.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, I think that really, anytime you see this type of stuff, and I know most people watching this either have a vested interest and or don't know and or care about kind of what tort reform is, because it really is one of those things that doesn't come up unless you're lawyers like us or you're insurance lobbyists, or you've been involved in a wreck and seen how insurance companies can jerk you around and try to make it just a miserable process just to get a fair compensation. So I just encourage you to don't stick your head in the sand. Read what the bill says. Do your own research on sort of the implications of what it is that the insurance lobbyists are asking for. It's basically, I call it the Christmas list of anything and everything that the insurance companies could ever want and hope for to make it to where they continue to have increased, premiums, continue to have record profits, and at the same time, really having a detrimental impact on everyday citizens.
So, and then try to remember, insurance companies, State Farm loves to be like a good neighbor. State Farm's there, that's their slogan. But think about what we do. We as plaintiffs lawyers are here to hold people accountable for negligence, whether that's a car wreck or a business. We want to see a safer society. And if there's no one left to hold these people accountable, these businesses, product makers, the way you drive on the roads, if there's no accountability there, then the safety, it's not going to get safer out there. Businesses are going to cut corners. People are going to drive more recklessly. We serve a purpose in protecting every Georgian, and the only way we can do that is by having that threat of a jury trial where we can guarantee to hold those people accountable.
That's right, and the deck's already stacked against you from the get-go if you've been involved in a car wreck and you're trying to deal with the insurance companies, and they're just trying to make it that much more difficult for people who've been injured. So, well, I hope this video has been helpful. I would love for you guys to comment, good, bad, indifferent. I'd love to get someone else's perspective. I'd love to have a guest on so we can kind of debate these issues if anyone's feeling so inclined. But if you've liked this video, thought it was helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube page, and we will see you next week. If you found this topic enjoyable and you want to learn more, we will put some resources in the description below, so feel free to check those out.
As personal injury lawyers, we love what we do, and we're happy to share the experience we've gained in personal injury law. To help our family, friends, and YouTube subscribers, we've shared over 300 personal injury videos covering various injury topics. So if you'd like to gain more knowledge that may help protect yourself or a loved one when you're on the roads or out in public, check out our channel or view our playlist of shorts for quick personal injury tips.